Deputy Stephen Donnelly, you have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Cahirlock. Cahirlock, I'd like to start by congratulating the Taoiseach on presiding over some extremely difficult and complex negotiations. He has managed to preside over an agreement on the MFF, which was not possible by other countries over the last number of months. An extremely difficult task, and I would like to extend my congratulations. It's not an easy thing to have achieved. Taoiseach, I particularly welcome the focus on economic growth, on education, on research and innovation, and in particular the new initiative designed to tackle youth unemployment. Obviously, we're dealing with horrific youth unemployment in Ireland. Partners like Spain are dealing with much worse issues. I wonder, would we have got a better deal on the promissory notes had you been in there negotiating rather than some of your colleagues? Who knows? But in light of the promissory note vote, which obviously we're taking tomorrow and which is critical for Ireland, a quote by President Van Rompuy I thought was very interesting, where he said, "This compromise shows a sense of collective responsibility from Europe's leaders." Collective responsibility from Europe's leaders. And we in Ireland understand this. In a time of deep economic crisis, Fianna Fáil, on behalf of the Irish people, committed €35 billion to Anglo and Irish nationwide. Why? To secure the Eurozone banking system. That's collective responsibility, that's solidarity. Solidarity and collective responsibility, of course, are two-way things. And I don't believe that we are seeing in return the solidarity and responsibility that we showed in 2008 and in 2010. And at 1:30 tomorrow, we in Dáil will be asked to welcome the restructuring of the promissory note deal. Now, Patrick Honohan's comments I thought were interesting yesterday in light of this. The governor is clearly very frustrated with the banks. Why? Because they refuse to engage in meaningful negotiation on debt write-downs and instead are keeping people on the never-never. They're keeping them on interest-only mortgages. Now, the government is quite rightly with Patrick Honohan, and I imagine most of Dáil Éireann on this, and saying to the banks that's not acceptable. You can't solve debt problems by keeping people on interest-only mortgages that go on forever. And yet that is exactly what the new restructuring is. So the Dáil is being asked to welcome a deal for the people of Ireland on €31 billion of other people's debts, which at the same time we are in agreement is not how they should be treated by the banks in relation to their own debts. This doesn't seem right to me. Now, should we welcome this deal? Maybe, Cahirlock, maybe, Taoiseach, that it was the best deal that could ever have been got. We'll never know. Maybe it was. I fully accept that it may be. I don't think it is, but I accept it may be. The reason I don't think it is because we know that Minister Noonan never asked for a write-down in the principal €31 billion. Now, the Minister got very upset with me here yesterday evening when I pointed out that Greece did ask for a write-down, and they got a write-down of €110 billion in their sovereign debt. Now, the Minister is right to point out that the Greek situation was to do with private holders of sovereign debt. So is the promissory note. The promissory note is not owed to the ECB, not yet anyway. It's owed to two dead banks, just like the Greek sovereign debt was owed to banks. They got a 53% reduction in the principal. That'd be like the government coming back and saying that 31 billion has been shared with Europe and we're now on the hook for 14 billion. That's something I would support. So Greece achieved this on their sovereign debt. We didn't achieve it on the promissory notes. And the promissory notes aren't the same thing as real debt. They're an IOU. We didn't get anything in exchange. Anglo didn't give us 31 billion in cash. We just offered it to them. Now, in law, Cahirlock, a contract in which one party promises something but gets nothing in return is not always enforceable. But regardless of where any of us stand on this deal, it is fair to say we would all prefer a write-down in debt. It's fair to say we'd all prefer lower funding costs and a write-down from 31 billion to 5 billion, or whatever we could achieve. So, Cahirlock, I'd like to ask, what would happen if, rather than voting yes tomorrow, we voted no? The Dáil Éireann voted no. Let's imagine the TDs on all sides of the House were allowed to vote based on their own analysis and what they believed was in the best interest of the people of Ireland, and that they didn't have to follow party orders on this. Well, if we vote yes, we send a message to the people of Ireland. We send a message to the ECB. we send a message to Angela Merkel, and we send a message to the rest of Europe that says we welcome this deal. We welcome the lower funding costs, and we welcome the people turning dodgy banking debt into gold-plated sovereign debt. We welcome that.
Thank you.
Ciarán, what if we say no? And I'll finish on this.
Please.
This isn't a finance bill. The government doesn't collapse. This is just a motion. What happens if we say no? It says that the Parliament of Ireland, the Dáil Éireann, says we do not welcome this deal. We do not welcome the people of Ireland taking on the losses of Anglo and Irish nationwide.
Thank you, Deputy.
We do not welcome the abandonment of solidarity in Europe. I'm just done.
You're taking time from the question and answer session, so maybe you might be able to ask some of those questions.
I'm just finished.
Okay.
What it says, if we vote no, is that we may end up having to swallow this bitterest of pills. But by God, we don't welcome it.
Thank you.
And it is for that reason that I believe we should vote no on this tomorrow.
Thank you.